Alright guys, so this is the first part of the full Skyblock starter guide, and I'm just going to be teaching you the basics of what you need to know today. So yeah, let's just get right into it. So, you might be wondering, well, how do I figure all of this out? There's so much. Well, don't worry, because I'm going to be covering everything that you need to know before starting to play. Now, I know there's a lot of these getting started guides around, but I'm not going to do a getting started guide. I'm going to do a guide on everything. I'm not just going to be one of those YouTubers that says, okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is go to the farm and start chopping some wheat for money, and then go sell it and buy this sword, and you don't know what it's for, but they just say to buy it, so you buy it. I'm going to teach you what the items do, what different types of items there are, and basically everything custom that Skyblock adds. So, let's start with the basics. So, one of the first things you might notice is your stats in the bottom. Now, instead of hunger, you have mana. And instead of health, you have also health, but different, if that makes sense. So, let's go over all these stats and what they mean. So, this is your Skyblock menu. I'm going to be going over this in a little bit. But right here you see your profile. And you can see all of your stats. So, your health will probably be 100 when you just start out. Same with your defense, I think. But anyways, your health is your health. There's not really much else to say about it. Other than, the more you have, the more hits you can take. But defense is a little different. Now, what defense does is it's also a defensive stat, just like health. But instead of increasing the amount of damage you can take, it reduces the amount of damage you can take. So let's say you had 1,000 health, and there was something that did 1,000 damage. You'd get one shot, which would not be fun. But if you had even one defense, that would defend against any hit that you get by enough, because even 0.001 would bring it below 1,000. And if you had 644 like I do, which you won't starting out, then you'll take a lot more hits. You'll take a lot less damage. And now strength. Now, this is a stat that increases the damage you do. So it's an offensive stat. And what this does is, on swords, there's two stats. There's damage and strength. Now, damage is the damage. Like, how much damage it does. Like, diamond swords do more damage than iron swords. These swords are the same. But strength also increases the damage you do. And it does multiply the damage you do by a good amount. I'll have a link in the description with exactly how the calculations work, but it's sort of like damage, but not quite damage. Then there's speed, and this is pretty self-explanatory. It's just how fast you go, like how fast you run. 100 is base Minecraft speed, and I have 18 more than that. So I go a little bit faster. I don't know if you can notice it. But if I was to jump, it'd still be faster than just running, so basically that does nothing. And then we have crit chance, and just like any game, any RPG game, which is sort of what this is there's crits, or criticals. And this is how high of a chance it is for you to get a critical. So mine is at 79% right now. And eventually, you're going to want to get it up to 100. But that'll happen eventually. So once it gets to 100, obviously you'll crit every time. And then we have crit damage, and this is a little bit less self-explanatory, but basically what it does is, let's say you do 1,000 damage, and you get a crit, because you're lucky, or something. And that would multiply, if you had a 251% crit chance, it would multiply that damage by 251%. So if you 100% crit damage, it wouldn't do anything. If you had 200%, it would double it. If you had 250%, you get the idea. And then we have intelligence. mine is at 93, and this is basically your mana. Now, it doesn't scale directly with mana. If you had 100 intelligence, you wouldn't have 100 mana. You have more than that. But the more you have of this, the more mana you have, which is used for abilities, which I'll get into later. And then the last one is called Magic Find. And I'll also get into this a little bit later. But basically what this does is, if you're fighting a boss or some sort of mob that has chances to drop rare things, like things you would not expect to get, this will increase by how much the odds are for you to get that drop. So if you had 0, you would have the normal odds. If you had 10, like me, you'd have a little bit higher of a chance to get it, but not by much. So that is the stats, but you're probably wondering, how do you increase them? Well, I'll show you. There are multiple ways to increase your stats, but one of them is skills. Now, there are plenty of skills, 9 to be exact, and each of them increases a different stat. Now, farming is when you harvest crops, you get a little bit of XP, and you can see mine is at 19. So each time I level up, it gives me a little bit more health, as you can see. It also gives me coins and a chance to get double crops. But if it goes up enough, you can see I've gotten a substantial amount of health from this. And these are important because obviously once you get to 25, you get double crops guaranteed. That is usually what you do skills for, the little ability. But the stat bonus is also nice. Now, I'm not going to go over every single skill because by now you know how it works. You can investigate yourself. But everyone gives you a different statistic, and leveling up, you can see what it does yourself. So I'm going to move on to the next thing. So, the last thing, for now, I promise, in the Skyblock menu is collections. And these are important. They are extremely important. They let you unlock the recipes for all the custom items. And if you would like a specific item, let's say all your collections are going to be level 1 at the start. No, they're not even going to be level 1. They're going to be level 0. And you need to get these by harvesting whatever it says for farming. And if you buy it from the auction house, trading with another player, anything like that, it does not count towards your collection. You have to do it manually. So you can see why this can get a little tedious. Now, I don't know what this guy's doing. Now, let's say for mining, you wanted to craft a super compactor. And this is a really useful thing. I'll get into it later. But let's say you were cobblestone 5 and you wanted to craft that. Oh, that's compactor. Anyways, if you wanted to craft that and you were cobblestone 5, you would either have to grind a lot more cobblestone to get to 70k and then craft it, or you could simply buy it from someone. So that's why a lot of people's collections, including mine, aren't all maxed, because it's often easier to just buy something from someone. But you do want to get a lot of these maxed, as they are quite useful. Like, this is really useful. This one goes past all the other ones, just because the accessory bag is really useful. And yeah, that's pretty much it for collections. So, right now, we're on my island. And we're not going to focus on how bad it looks. Right now, we're going to focus on these guys. And you can see these guys are constantly killing gas over there, mining gold, doing whatever, farming potatoes. And these guys are called minions, which I guess is kind of true. And what these guys do is they will constantly make items for you. And this guy makes clay, these guys farm potatoes. This is lapis, you can see. And I don't know how that just phased through that wall. Anyways, you can see there's a lot of things in this GUI. And why that is because these guys are complicated. When you're offline, even when Minecraft is closed, your computer turns off in the middle of the night, these guys will generate items for you. And that is why they are so useful. But there's only a limited amount of minion slots. And I only have 16. So all of these minions here there are 16 minions. And let's just go over this GUI. These are slots for upgrades, fuels, and everything else. So up here, there's a skin. You can insert a skin there to change the appearance of your minion. That's not really important. It's just cosmetics. This one slot, is for fuel. And there's lots of different types of fuel. Some of them are temporary, some of them are permanent. But the ones I use is enchanted lava buckets. Now these are the best permanent fuel in the game. These are quite expensive, but increases the speed of your minion by 25% forever, which is really good. Down here, there's automated shipping. This shouldn't usually be used. You can use it in some minions. But basically what it does is a budget hopper, enchanted hopper, or perfect hopper there. And it'll automatically sell stuff that it doesn't have room for. Because otherwise they just stop when they're full. Which is nice, but it doesn't sell them, unless it's a perfect hopper, it doesn't sell it at maximum efficiency. And usually your minions shouldn't be getting full, because you'll have upgrades in them and everything. So yeah, that's not that useful, but in some situations it can be useful. And down here we have 2 upgrade slots. Now one of them is full, the other's empty. And this one is a compactor. And what this does is it compacts stuff that the minion generates into its block form. Now as you can imagine, this can't be used with every minion. Like the potato minions, the gravel minion, the clay... Okay? We're not going to talk about that. The clay minion can be used, actually. But the rabbit minion, obviously, you can't make blocks of rabbit. That sounded kind of gruesome. But yeah, so this can only be used in really mining minions. And it's really useful because just imagine how full this would get. This would fill up in like 10 minutes if I didn't have all these upgrades. Probably like an hour, whatever, if I didn't have this in there. So that is really nice to have for these guys. But you're probably wondering, how do you increase the storage for these guys? Well, I'm going to get into that in just a second. But right now, let's go over this GUI. So this is just collect all. It collects all these items, everything in storages, if you want. And yeah, that's really useful. Usually it's more efficient than just clicking on them one by one. That's what I always use. Right here, it shows you the tier. It shows you how much time between actions there is, max storage, and how many resources it's generated. Mine is tier 9. If you can't read Roman numerals, I think there's a setting that you can disable it, but I kind of like them. And this is the ideal layout. This is really useless. It's almost always a 5x5 area for minions. And basically, you just want it to be 1 block above. You can put any block below it. And then you just want a 5x5 area of whatever block it needs. Like, those guys need dirt. These guys need ores. This guy needs gravel. This guy needs clay. There was one over here that needs nether quartz. You get the idea. So that's not really that useful, but I guess it can be. And this is the next tier. Now, if I wanted to upgrade this to tier 10, I would need 8 enchanted redstone blocks. Now, you're probably wondering what those are. I'll get into those in a second. But that is really expensive, and it's not usually worth it for just a small boost. And this is just quick upgrade minion. It automatically takes the stuff from your inventory and upgrades it. So that's pretty useful if you want to just quickly upgrade it. And then the last thing is this bedrock pickup minion. It picks up the minion, drops all the stuff in it on the floor, and picks up the storage as well. And that's the only way to mine them. You can't mine them. They're entities, but they can't be hit. They don't have a hitbox. They're kind of just there. It's a little weird, but you'll get used to it. And so yeah, you're probably wondering how you increase storage for those. Well, I could show you in that, but that guy can be used with the compactor. So I'll show you in this guy. So I have a budget hop in here. I should take that out actually, because that is useless because of this. Now, what this does is it automatically compresses stuff into the enchanted form. I just picked up some rabbit. That is nice. And the enchanted form, I will get into that right after this, costs 2.5 stacks of something to make. So you can see I have one here. It will almost never fill up until you get like stacks and stacks and stacks. You need a stack of this for it to just take up another slot. So that's really useful. It almost never fills up. You can kind of just leave it forever. Obviously, you're not going to want to do that because you're going to be addicted like I am. And yeah, that is really useful. I also have an enchanted lava bucket in this one. And yeah, I'll get into enchanted stuff next. So, at this point, you're probably wondering, well, this is all well and good, but I want money. That's all I want. I just want to get rich. That's all I came here for. Well, you're in luck, because that's pretty much what everyone wants. So, if you come in here, you spawn about around here, you see this building. And right now, it's kind of decorated because it's Easter and everything. But just go into it, and you'll see the banker. And he'll give you a little speech, whatever, how to use it. Basically, all you need to know is this is recent transactions. That's stupid. No one really cares about that, to be honest. There's also interest, which is interesting. But that's not really important. It's not really substantial unless you get like a lot of coins. And there's deposit, your whole purse, half your purse, a specific amount. Same with withdraw. You can also withdraw 20%. And right now you can see it says piggy right there instead of purse. And why that is because I have a piggy bank in my inventory. But we'll get into that later. This is so complicated. Like, you can't really explain one thing without explaining another. But that is your purse. I have 189,000 coins, which is a good amount. And the way you get those is by selling stuff to merchants, which you almost never want to do. You can just click on something, sell it. I really don't want to accidentally click on one of these and sell it. That would be tragic. But if you do sell it, you could just buy it back. And then like that. And then it'll go there. But if you're selling a lot of stuff, let's say I'm selling all this, I accidentally click this, sell another thing, and it's gone forever. So don't do that. That is not wise. But you probably don't want to do that. You probably want to sell it on the auction house or the bazaar, which I'll get into just in a second. So this is create auction, view bids, and auctions browser. So I touched on this in the beginning. But basically, what this is I like to sort by ending soon. Because highest bid, you see all the ridiculously expensive things. Like, these are not expensive. This is very expensive. These are just, I don't know why they're going for that much. There's also lowest bid. There's like a wooden sword for 1 coin. So yeah, that's stupid as well. Unless you're like really wanting to flex your money or something, you probably wouldn't sort by highest bid. I like to do ending soon because if I want something quick, I can just bid on it as it's ending. And then it'll be quick. I don't have to wait an hour for the auction to end. So basically there's weapons, which is, as it says, swords, bows, axes, magic weapons. There's armor, which is armor pieces, accessories, which I'll get into later. Consumables, which is books, potions, food, and everything. Food's literally useless, though. Like, there's no reason to buy this. This can be used for other things, but one of these is so insignificant. Then there's blocks, which is like blocks, like it says here, any blocks really. I don't know why sunflowers are in here. Those clearly are not blocks, but whatever. There you have tools and misc, like pickaxes, pets, which I'll also get into later. So many things to get into later. Fun. Fragments, which I'll also get into later. Enchanted stuff, which you've seen. And yeah, so if you have something substantial that you want to sell here, let's say you got some armor and you want to sell it, and you sell it on here, you create an auction, you put the item in, you set how long you want it to be. I usually like to go 1 hour, but you might want to go 6 hours, depending on if it's like on peak hours. Like, there's a lot of people on, then it'll probably get bid on higher, but that's a little complicated. You could also set the starting bid. Usually you don't want to do this because it'll get bid up anyway. And then you can create auction. Obviously I don't want to do that because I like this item. I don't really want to sell it. I'll go back, just put that back there. And then that's pretty much all you need to know about that. But you're probably thinking, well, that doesn't seem very efficient to sell all my stacks and stacks of raw beef and stuff like that. Well, you're right, it's not. So this is a thing. The bazaar. There's a lot of people here that kind of being annoying, but basically what this is it's bulk sales for items. Like there's not any weapons on here because those are for the auction house. This is for common commodities, as they say. And this is
very interesting. There's a lot of money making methods you can do with this. But you can see if you're in direct mode, which most people would be, you just see the buy price and the sell price. So let's say there's a lot of things here, but let's say we just want some more carrots. Well, there's a lot of options here. You could create a sell offer. And you can see there's top offers. Top offer right now is 2.9 coins. And there's 40,000 for sale. So I would definitely, that wouldn't run out for a while. And obviously I just said obviously twice. We're not going to talk about that. You would want to buy from the 2.9 one because there's no reason to buy from the 3.5 unless you just want to waste money, which I don't even know why you're here if you want to waste money. But yeah, that's that. There's also create buy order. And basically, it's a buy order. So you create it, you say how many items you want to buy, you set the price. Usually want the highest price because people will want to sell to the higher prices. And then you wait, and eventually it will get filled. But beware, if it gets too low, like it's way, like that 2.0 one's not going to get filled for so long. Because it's just so low. There's so many, like 113,000, 54,000, 43,000. All that is not going to get filled for a while. So you might have to update it, but eventually you will get it. And you're probably wondering why you do that. Well, it's obviously cheaper to do that. Because right over here, there's the item. That's not really anything. You could sell instantly. And you could sell to buy orders. Why is it saying 2.6? It's clearly 2.7 there. I don't know. But anyways, then you would sell to a buy order. But that's obviously less efficient than making a sell offer. It's not as significant in this. This is quite a small ratio, but some I've seen like 10 coins between each. So you'd obviously want to create a sell offer. So I would only recommend that if you're in a hurry, or if it's like this, it's a really small margin. It doesn't really matter. So yeah, that just immediately sells to a buy order. Then we have buy instantly. You go in here, you select how much, you fill my inventory, buy stack, buy only one, or custom amount. And basically, what this does is it buys from a sell offer. And also, I would only recommend this if you're in a hurry, or you need the items like really fast because you're about to get off, or that's also you're in a hurry. So yeah, that's quite useful. And you would usually want to use these, but there are times to use these. And this is just go back. If you graphs, that's not that useful. It's kind of just really complicated stuff. I don't even use it because I'm kind of a loser. But it shows you like how many orders for that, how many times it's been that, what it's trending. It's not important. And then you have all your orders. Oh, I have coins to claim. Well, that's nice. Give me all those coins. Okay, so I just sold all my snow blocks. But if you see here, there would be a lot of different orders right there. If you have orders, of course. And this just like lets you see your sell offers, your buy orders, all that. Just lets you manage them. You can cancel them at any time if you want. This is really useful because there's even some, this is all the basic stuff, but there's also like oddities like this stuff. And I basically have to explain all of this except for fuels, which I've already explained. There's also stocks, which are kind of useless right now. They're kind of just there. Like, he's not selling stocks anymore. He's not buying stocks yet. So, yeah, that's kind of useless. But it's a stock market. What do you expect?
So that is going to be it for this video, and this was part 1. Now, I'm sorry for it being a little boring and repetitive. I just wanted to make sure that everyone watching this, every skill level watching this could understand it. I want to make it really, really in-depth. But I promise you that these next couple parts will not be as boring because they're going to be focusing on some of the more complex stuff. So, thanks for watching, and keep watch for the next couple parts.